discover the hidden truth. How one incredible date revealed an unexpected transformation. Emily stared at the same gray walls of the diner where she'd been coming for years, her usual booth a second home, one that had begun to feel suffocating. She felt invisible to the world outside, concerned only about her responsibilities. The weight of her family's expectations pressed down, a constant reminder of what was expected. It wasn't just her daily grind as an accountant. It was the crushing sense of compliance to a life she felt was never meant for her. The humdrum was deafening. Would she ever break free? As she stirred her coffee, the door swung open and in walked Jake, radiant and alive in a way that pulled at her heart. The spark of their introductions felt like fire in chilly air. Laughter bubbled as they spoke about everything and nothing. In that moment, the stagnant shadows that clung to her began to lift. She could share her longing for graphic design without fear of judgment, a ghost of passion she'd left behind in her pursuit of stability. The potential for something more ignited her. Jake, with his passion for literature and a genuine warmth, saw beauty in the mundane. Her heart felt lighter yet heavier, as if it danced with hope while pulling her down with doubt. Before she even realized it, their conversation shifted from laughter to deeper confessions. Jake spoke candidly about being a male schoolteacher amidst pervasive stereotypes. His vulnerability was disarming. He sought to inspire and challenge perceptions while admitting his own struggle. Emily connected with that desire to defy what was expected of her, yet faced the familiar trepidation of embracing her aspirations. She felt the tension build, a flicker of ambition doused by the fear of letting her family down. Before she could catch her breath, the universe conjured disaster. News broke. Budget cuts threatened the very school that employed Jake. Everything leaned on a precipice. The community felt unsteady. For Emily, the crossroads became stark and unwelcoming. Should she stay in her safe job or take a blind leap into the uncertain world of art? Love was blooming, yet panic rose with every thought of her family's held expectations, every reminder that her dreams might not fit into their world. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The wind howled as Emily stood by the river, the currents pulling her in different directions. She searched Jake's eyes for answers, his expression a map of determination. Could she really cast aside her past for the freedom of a more authentic self? Emotions swirled, gripping her tightly. Why was her heartbeat a thrum of desperation? She had spent far too long tethered to obligation. Yet, as another phone call intruded, her mind raced with what felt like impending gut-wrenching decisions. What if she chose wrong? A moment of clarity emerged. Was this the moment to claim her happiness or let it slip? Just as clarity emerged, the air crackled with urgency. What would she reveal to Jake? The truth that could set them both free or imprison them further in their fears. Emily inhaled deeply, the sharp chill of the wind reawakening her senses. The weight of uncertainty pressed heavily on her chest. She could feel both liberation and panic battling within her, like a storm ready to break. This was a defining moment, and the clarity she'd momentarily grasped felt as elusive as the sun behind racing clouds. "What if I told you," she began, her voice just above a whisper, "that I'm not happy with where I am?" The admission sent a shiver coursing through her. She searched Jake's eyes for support, for understanding. Would he laugh? Would he judge? Instead, the warmth in his gaze encouraged her to continue. "I've always wanted to be a graphic designer, but I never thought it could be more than a dream." The words stumbled out, each one feeling more liberating than the last. "I thought if I played it safe and stuck to accounting, I wouldn't let anyone down. My family, my friends." The weight of her explanation hung heavy in the air between them, as if her fears had manifested into a physical presence. Jake nodded, his expression inviting yet serious. Emily, it takes guts to stand up and voice what you want, I get that. I've faced the same sort of expectations. As he spoke, she could feel a kindred spirit rising up from within him, one that echoed her own doubts and dreams. The school might be facing challenges, but I can't let that dictate what I'm meant to do, he continued, passion igniting his words. My happiness shouldn't hinge on someone else's decisions. We control our own narratives. I believe you can too. Those words sunk into Emily like a stone hitting water, sending ripples into the corners of her mind. What had she been allowing to hold her back? Fear, conformity. Realization struck. She'd lived on borrowed ambitions, fulfilling roles that fed her family's dream for her but starved her own spirit. Maybe, Emily pondered aloud, it's time to reevaluate everything. But how? She immediately questioned, the tremor in her voice betraying her uncertainty. Where would I even start? I've been out of touch with my creativity for too long. I think the first step is acknowledging that this isn't just about the art. It's about you. You have to believe that you deserve to chase what makes you happy. Jake's voice held an encouraging steadiness. The conviction in his tone carved a beacon of hope through Emily's thick fog of doubts, illuminating the path ahead. Yet she hesitated. Her comfort zone was a known entity, but stepping outside felt like an invitation to chaos. What if her family rejected the change? The thought alone was suffocating. Is it selfish to want to risk everything? She was met with silence, the tumultuous roar of her insecurities filling the void. I know they've sacrificed so much for me. What if I let them down? No transformation comes without risk, Jake responded softly, tilting his head. But what if the cost of not trying is greater? There it was. Her reality laid bare, an ultimatum staring her down. She could feel the darkness closing in, threatening to swallow her whole. Yet Jake's unwavering gaze anchored her amidst the storm. Emily stood at a crossroads, one step toward her long-buried dreams and the other leading back into the safety of expectation. In that suspended moment, something flickered within her, a spark of determination rivaling her fears. What if she chose to take that leap? I think it's time to take a class, she declared suddenly, breathing the words into existence. It felt like a rebellion against her past self. Jake broke into a broad smile, delight dancing in his eyes. That's a powerful first step. You'll never know your potential unless you start? She nodded, feeling a swell of hope. Perhaps she could do this. Perhaps she could forge her own path. But as excitement began to ignite, the lingering doubts clawed back into her thoughts. Could she truly switch gears? Or was this just another fantasy spiraling into despair? Just as she contemplated her next move, a notification chimed on her phone. A message from her mother. Emily, we need to talk. Family expectations have to come first. The blood drained from her face. The decision to leap now felt more paramount than ever, teetering dangerously on the knife's edge of familial loyalty. What would she say? Would it be her final act of defiance or the beginning of a new journey? The weight of an impending confrontation loomed large, ready to redefine everything. Would she choose dreams over obligations, or would she fall back into the role that was expected of her? The moment of truth was fast approaching. Emily sat in her car, staring at the screen of her phone, trepidation clutching at her throat. The message blinked back at her with an urgency that created a knot in her stomach. Her mother's words felt like a guillotine, poised to sever her dreams from her reality. What would it mean to confront them? The weight of years spent molding herself to fit familial expectations pressed against her lungs. She parked, running her fingers through her hair. She could use the drive home to gather her thoughts, but instead, her mind spiraled into a whirlpool of anxiety intertwined with her flickering ambition. The idea of approaching her family with this newfound resolve seemed increasingly insurmountable. What if they dismissed her dreams as a childish whim? What if, in their eyes, pursuing graphic design meant turning her back on their sacrifices? Fear twisted the knife further. Yet, nestled deep within that fear was the unmistakable pulse of desire, a yearning to express herself creatively, to awaken the dormant artist inside her. I can't let fear dictate my decisions, she murmured, half-heartedly steadying herself with her own words. Jake's encouragement replayed in her mind, each word stirring the embers of the fire she felt inside. He had seen something in her that she hadn't been able to recognize herself. Perhaps it was time to embrace that potential instead of hiding from it. She finally exhaled a shaky breath, muttering to herself, "If I'm going to start this journey, I need to be honest with them." That acknowledgement felt like another small victory. But as she stepped out of the car, a question loomed large. How could she confront the very foundation of her life without causing a rift that could fracture everything she knew? The walk to her front door felt as though she was traversing a foreign land, unfamiliar and laced with danger. Each step resonated with her heartbeats echoing louder than before. Would she be met with curiosity or anger? She paused, fingers hovering over the doorknob. The warmth of family had always been a source of comfort, but today, it felt like a chair set at the precipice of a cliff. As she walked inside, the familiar sense of dinner being prepared wafted through the air, a reminder of home. But tonight, it would serve as a bittersweet greeting, an offering perhaps of normalcy before the eruption of her truth. "Emily, you're back!" her mother exclaimed, wiping her hands on a dish towel, wrapping Emily in a warm embrace. The love in her mother's voice sent warmth flooding through her, but it did little to quell the anxiety battling inside. "Mom, can we talk?" Emily's voice was steadier than she anticipated. It felt electric, as if those 4 words could alter the trajectory of her life. Her mother's smile faltered, the gleam in her eyes shifting to concern. "Of course, sweetheart. Is something wrong?" "No," Emily replied quickly, surprising herself. "But there's something I need to share, something important." With her heart racing against her ribs, she could feel the world around her shrinking to the moment. This was her leap of faith, her confrontation. She braced herself for what was to come. "Do you remember when we talked about me finding my passion?" She continued, pulling from deep within herself. "I've been thinking, I want to pursue graphic design." The room fell silent, air thickening with unspoken words. Emily's breath hitched, caught in the tension. Her mother's face morphed through a cascade of emotions, first surprise, then cautious contemplation. "Graphic design?" her mother echoed. "But Emily, you focused on accounting." "Exactly. I have, and I appreciate everything you and Dad have done for me, I really do. But I've realized I can't ignore what I want anymore. I want to chase my dreams." But would her mother see it the same way? The anticipation in the air crackled, promising either a profound understanding or a breach that could shift everything they knew. Just then, her phone buzzed again. A call from Jake, a sudden surge of unexpected support in her pocket. As she glanced at the screen, she realized this moment, this choice, could define her. Not just personally, but also in how she intended to shape her future. What would her mother say? Would she embrace Emily's need for change, or would this spark the very conflict she had dreaded? The silence extended like a chasm, and in that instant, Emily sensed it. A truth waiting to be unearthed, like a seed cracked open by the harshness of coming sunlight. The confrontation wasn't merely about her desires. It was about honesty, resilience, and the uncertainty in every leap into the unknown. As she stood there, a whirlpool of emotions racing, she knew one thing. There would be no turning back now. "Mom," she spoke, steadying herself. "It's time we talk about what I really want." And with that, the weight of everything hinged on her mother's response. Would it open new doors, or seal her dreams away forever? Time seemed to stretch as Emily stood by the kitchen counter, her mother's silence heavy and suffocating. She felt the walls closing in, each moment transforming her anxiety into a tangible force pressing against her chest. No matter the outcome, this was a watershed moment. She realized that her path forward hinged on her willingness to confront the truth, both with her mother and herself. "Sweetheart," her mother finally broke the quiet. "I appreciate your honesty, but pursuing graphic design, it's such a big shift for you. What made you decide this?" The question lingered, dissolving Emily's initial resolve. This was it, the opening she had hoped for. Because it's who I am, Mom. I've always drawn, created. But I lost sight of that in the pursuit of what was expected of me. I know accounting was meant to be safe and secure, but I need to feel alive in what I do. Her mother's brow furrowed, processing Emily's words as if weighing them against a set of scales. But what about stability? What about the future? The age-old question echoed through Emily's mind. Stability or passion? This was more than just a career choice. It was about redefining her identity. I understand, but I can't reshape my dreams around fear. I want to design. I want to express what I feel through art. If I don't take this chance, I'll always wonder what could have been. The intensity of her own honesty surprised her, igniting an ember of hope buried beneath layers of familial expectation. She watched her mother swallow hard, the conflict evident in her gaze. Underneath the familiar patterns of worry, Emily could see glimmers of something else. Curiosity, perhaps a seed of acceptance. Yet, the tension persisted between them like an electric wire, crackling with emotions left unsaid. Emily, her mother spoke, voice softer now. What if this doesn't work out? What will you do then? What if it does work? It was an impulsive response, but potent. It was her voice uncloaked. Emily leaned into the challenge, aware that every word mattered now. What if I find joy, fulfillment, connections, and build a life around creativity? I have to be willing to take that risk. I might fail, but I'll never regret trying. The room held its breath, and Emily sensed that she wasn't just arguing for her future. She was challenging the foundation upon which their lives had been built. How generations had strived for security, often suffocating passion in the process. Emily, her mother finally said, the contours of her face softening. I just want what's best for you. It's hard to let go of what I thought was a clear path. Then help me carve a new one, Emily nearly pleaded, the desperation of needing her mother's support tremoring her voice. I'm not running away from you, I'm running toward myself. At what cost? Her mother countered, her voice thick with emotion. Can you promise me that you'll be sensible about this? Sensible. The word hung in the air, a reminder of how every decision was weighed against practicalities. Emily found it grating, but she locked eyes with her mother, desperate to convey that dreams weren't reckless. They were vital. I can promise to try, to work hard at this, she asserted, swallowing the lump of hurt deeper down in her throat. But I need your understanding. I need you to believe in me. In that moment, an internal struggle played across her mother's face. Fear, love, uncertainty, and hope all coiled together. Emily stood firmly, grounding herself in the conviction that her worth was not tied to compliance, but rather rooted in authenticity. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again, pulling her attention momentarily, the call from Jake reverberating through the air like a beacon. This time, instead of anxiety, it felt like an urgent reminder of kindness and support, waiting just beyond this conversation. I'll call him back, she thought, but a new anxiety washed over her. What if she lost this chance, this momentum based on past hesitations? Mom, she said, the urgency in her voice thawing the coldness in the air. This is my moment. Please don't let fear take it from me. The words hung as thick as the initial silence, but within that weight was an unmistakable shift. Would her mother finally rise to embrace Emily's leap into the unknown, or would she anchor her back in the safety of the familiar? Emily felt time gathering in the air, waiting, and with her heart pounding against her ribs, she knew only one thing. The next words out of her mother's mouth would either release or tether her aspirations forever. There was before, and there would be after. Which side would they choose? The seconds felt like hours, and as the silence deepened, Emily wondered if her mother would ever speak again. Every breath was a discordant reminder of the weight of expectation. Just as she thought the air had become too heavy to breathe, her mother spoke. I won't pretend I'm not worried, she said, her voice trembling slightly. But if this is really what you want, Maybe I need to consider what that means for both of us. Hope flared in Emily's chest, converting anxiety into determination. This was it, the turning point amidst a tumultuous internal storm. "Thank you, Mom," she whispered, feeling an unsteady yet liberating balance of fear and optimism. In the days that followed, the initial conversation transformed Emily's perspective profoundly. She poured herself into her art, shifting the lens through which she viewed her talent. Each doodle unfurled more than just lines and colors. It housed a burgeoning sense of identity. Yet the doubt that had long lived in her mind crept in like shadows at dusk. What if her mother eventually withdrew support? What if her new path led only to failure? Determined to navigate these uncertainties, Emily sought ways to bolster her confidence. She enrolled in an online course in graphic design, hungry to expand her technical skills. Each video lesson was layered with complexities that made her heart race, new tools to master, innovative designs to imitate. The initial thrill of creation was soon tempered by the daunting nature of deadlines and expectations. Her first project, a logo for a fictitious cafe, ignited both excitement and anxiety. As she debated colors and shapes, the inner critic began to surge. Was she really capable of competing in this field? Rather than surrender to the impulse to quit, Emily turned inward, confronting the doubts she had always bottled up. In accounting, she reminded herself during a quiet moment in her workspace, "I never felt this passionate. You just need to express yourself." The realization that the process of creation itself was more valuable than the end result ignited another flicker of determination. Sharing her work with her peers through the course community was an act laced with vulnerability. She felt exposed, standing naked in a conceptual forest with each comment and critique laying bare her fears. Yet, as she uploaded her first design, a familiar face illuminated her screen. Jake. "Hey, this is really cool," Jake commented within moments. "You've definitely got a style. I love how you captured the vibe of the place." His words were a balm, soothing the raw edges of her insecurities. For the first time, she considered how connections could flourish around shared passions, binding people through creativity rather than imposing fear. The thought kindled a growing realization. She was not just getting back into graphic design. She was forging a community, a new identity. As she continued to embrace her creative spirit, Emily felt a sense of ease start to envelop her. With every completed project, she peeled back layers of self-imposed limitations. The latent artist within was awakening, driven by the momentum of self-discovery. But with each step forward, the implications of her choices loomed larger. Would her mother accept this metamorphosis, or would it drive a wedge deeper between them? Finally, gripping the uncertainty of her evolving relationship with her mother, Emily decided to set up a follow-up conversation. Preparing for it felt both empowering and daunting, the image of her mother's conflicted expression looming large in her mind. Would this meeting solidify their newfound understanding, or would old fears rise once again? As she dialed her mother's number with resolve, the weight of expectation sat in her gut, embracing her with a thrilling mix of trepidation and anticipation. The moment had come. Would they forge a genuine bond in this creative journey, or would Emily find herself questioning everything yet again? Emily inhaled deeply, the sound of her mother's voice echoing in her thoughts, a mix of apprehension and desire swirling within her. As the call connected, each ring felt like a countdown, amplifying her racing heartbeat. "Hello?" Her mother's voice emerged, tentative yet curious. "Hi, Mom. It's me. I wanted to talk more about everything, the art and what it means moving forward." Each word was carefully measured, yet her stomach twisted at the thought of potential disappointment. A pause lingered on the line, a silence thick enough to trap an entire world of concerns. "Okay, let's talk," her mother replied finally, a hint of wariness undercutting the willingness. Sitting in her small studio, surrounded by canvases and sketches, Emily's mind raced. She had envisioned this conversation hundreds of times, rehearsing lines in a theater of her own making. What if it turned out to be a stage for unresolved conflicts instead of understanding? I've started taking a graphic design course, she declared, biting the bullet. It's different, it's exciting and challenging, but I think it's something I really want. Silence filled the air again, and Emily felt her heart sink. Perhaps her mother's acceptance had been a fleeting moment, overshadowed now by a heavy tension. Are you sure this is what you want? It's a difficult field, her mother responded, her voice laced with concern. I know it is, but I'm willing to face that. I never felt this passionate about anything else before. The intensity in Emily's tone surprised even her. This is my chance to change, to really pursue what excites me. On the other end, her mother sighed, and Emily could almost picture her crossing arms, weighing possibilities. But what if you fail? What if it doesn't lead anywhere stable? But what if I succeed? Emily's voice trembled with fervor. What if this is what I'm meant to do? I've been lost for so long, and every project I complete, every class I take, I feel alive. Doesn't that matter? Her mother's voice softened. It does. But I'm worried about you. Worried you'll face disappointment and heartache. The vulnerability in her mother's tone struck a nerve within Emily. She realized this fear wasn't just about her. It was rooted in her mother's own past experiences, a reflection of unfulfilled dreams. Mom, everyone faces challenges. It's not about avoiding pain. It's about embracing growth. There was a pause, the distance of understanding reducing with each passing second. I wish you had more certainty about this. But if you can truly promise to pursue it with all you have, then perhaps I can support you. Her heart soared at the prospect of bridging that gap, of transforming worry into a foundation of trust that could support them both. Thank you, Mom. I'll give it everything I have. I don't want you to worry, but I also want to be true to myself. I appreciate that, Emily. Just promise me that if it gets too hard, you'll talk to me. I promise, she said, feeling the weight of years of expectation slowly lifting. As they exchanged goodbyes, Emily felt exhilarated. She had faced a pivotal moment, and the acknowledgement from her mother shifted something deep within her. Confidence surged anew, and with it came visions of future projects, ambitious and inviting. But a gnawing question remained. Could she truly sustain this newly fostered bond while navigating the apprehensions intertwined with her aspirations? Drawing on that motivation, she returned to her design work, the flickering screen illuminating her face. Yet there was more than mere excitement. There was a fresh spirit, a new sense of responsibility. Art wasn't just her escape anymore. It was a tool for her evolution and a bridge back to her mother. As she sat to begin her next project, the stakes seemed higher than ever. This wouldn't just be about aesthetics or technique. It directly tied to her and her mother's redefining relationship. Would she be able to channel the burgeoning confidence into her next design? Or would it shatter under the weight of expectation once more? Only time would reveal the intricacies of this path she now walked. Emily leaned forward, her fingers hovering over the laptop's keyboard, the fresh energy coursing through her veins battling with a familiar fear. It was time to convert the surge of self-belief into tangible outcomes. The monitor flickered to life, and her latest idea, a digital mural celebrating resilience, came into view. Steps taken, decisions made. She recognized this as her moment to truly engage. With each stroke of the stylus, she drew not just color and shape, but fragments of her own journey. Moments of doubt, flashes of ambition, echoes of her conversation with her mother. Yet unease simmered beneath her enthusiasm. Could she really capture the essence of resilience? As she pored over the sketches, the initial excitement waned, tethering her thoughts to that relentless whisper of skepticism. Each detail felt like a test, and she questioned her capabilities, a mental tug-of-war fueling her creativity while simultaneously boxing her in. In the midst of her struggle, an email notification broke her concentration. It was from her graphic design instructor, announcing an upcoming showcase opportunity for student projects. A chance to demonstrate her work to professionals in the field, a breathtaking prospect and a daunting challenge. The urgency surged within her, sending adrenaline through her body. Could she submit her mural? Sharing her art at that level seemed both thrilling and terrifying. In a space where the scrutiny of peers and experts would loom large, she grappled with the weighty reality that success or failure could define her path. "Just think of it as an opportunity to learn," she whispered to herself, but she could feel the tension tightening her chest again. What if this wasn't just about sharing her art but about exposing her vulnerabilities? What if she crashed and burned in the face of those whose approval she craved? Determined to rise above the doubt, she closed her eyes, ready to visualize the impact her piece could make. Positive affirmations bubbled up within her. This project was a true reflection of her, and maybe the world needed to see it just as much as she needed to create it. Inspiration washed over her, rekindling the passion that had lit the initial spark. With a resolute breath, she opened her eyes and began to sketch with renewed vigor, channeling her uncertainties into bold lines and vivid colors. Each stroke belonged to her story, her struggle, her growth, and her connection to her mother. The act of creation felt transformative, tethering her to both her past and a possible future. Yet as days passed, Emily found herself oscillating between moments of progress and paralyzing self-doubt. The project absorbed her, became an extension of her mind, and yet, every unfinished detail prodded at her psyche, an incessant reminder of her fear of failure. The looming showcase cast a shadow over her work, and she started second-guessing decisions she had previously felt confident about. As the submission deadline approached, Emily stood at a precipice, caught in the loop of her own ambitions while wrestling with the memory of her mother's cautious thoughts. Would her mom's support hold true through rejection, should it come? In a moment of desperation, she demanded more from herself. "What do you truly want?" she challenged, picturing herself standing before the audience, the artwork displayed behind her. "Is it to please others, or to express your truth?" Tonight, that truth would begin taking shape, even if it meant exposing the raw, imperfect aspects of her journey. As she uploaded her mural to the submission portal, sweat trickled down her back, and she felt the simultaneous release and tension tightening within her stomach. She had committed to processing her fears through her art, but the process was far from over. The question loomed larger than before. What would happen when she faced those stares, those judgments? Eager yet apprehensive, she sat back, every muscle in her body coiled tight, knowing the nervous anticipation of awaiting that critical response. Would her leap of faith be met with validation? Or would it plunge her deeper into that abyss of self-doubt? And what would it mean if she discovered she could soar despite it all? Tomorrow the reveal would commence, and Emily's heart raced with the promise of transformation and the peril of exposure. Uncertainty loomed like a dark cloud, and she found herself teetering on the edge of potential realms yet unexplored. The morning light slipped through the curtains, illuminating Emily's workspace and casting a soft glow on the digital mural displayed on her screen. Her heart raced as she awoke, anxiety intertwining with hope. Today was critical. The showcase would test not just her artistic ability but her very conviction to stand in her truth. As she poured a cup of coffee, her mind whirred with the potential reactions. Positive cheers or critical murmurs echoed in her thoughts. She paced her small apartment, choosing each step carefully as if navigating a minefield of self-imposed expectations. What if no one understood her message? What if they saw only the flaws she'd meticulously tried to hide within her vibrant strokes? Dismantle the fear, she told herself, clutching the warm mug like a lifeline. Trying to quell the storm inside, she focused on her intention. This mural was not merely a piece of art. It was her voice, her story. Arriving at the venue, Emily could feel the electric buzz of anticipation mingling with her trepidation. Students and professionals alike mingled, discussing their projects and sharing nervous laughter. The air was thick, each interaction a reminder of her own vulnerability. She caught snippets of conversations centered around accolades and aspirations, the comparisons intensifying the tightening in her chest. Then came the moment. As the projector flickered to life and the first image of a peer's work filled the screen, Emily felt a wave of nausea. Rather than taking in the creative brilliance around her, her mind spiraled into a vortex of inadequacy. She leaned against a wall, willing herself to breathe, yet the rolling tide of doubt threatened to drown her in its depths. "Shift your focus," she murmured, reciting her mental checklist. To render her mural as personal was an act of defiance against the inner critic. Each brushstroke represented not just her resilience but the pain of grappling with self-worth. When her mural came on the screen, a hushed silence fell over the audience. Each detail, meticulously layered, transported both Emily and the viewers into her world, rich with emotion and authenticity. She stood, her heart pounding, tethered to their reactions like a fragile thread. Then the murmurs began. "Wow, the emotion. This captures so much struggle." Each word punctured the veil of her fear, allowing her hope to seep through the cracks. Yet a single thought jolted her back, paralyzing her in uncertainty. What if they only saw the pain? As the feedback poured in, she struggled to absorb it, her mind racing ahead to the judgment she feared most, the one from her mother. Would she accept and understand this raw, unfiltered piece of Emily's soul? Would the fear of disappointing her outweigh the joy of self-expression? After the showcase, a classmate approached her, bright-eyed and beaming. "Your mural, Emily, it's so powerful. I felt your journey within it." For a moment, Emily felt the weight lift. But the fleeting comfort was soon dwarfed by a new wave of anxiety. What did it mean to connect with someone through her art? Did it validate her experience, or merely highlight her failures? As she left the venue, her phone buzzed with notifications. The messages glowed on the screen like tiny lanterns in the dark, a mix of praise and constructive criticism. Each one ignited a spark of recognition. The applause from others mirrored the faint heartbeat of acceptance within her. In the following days, Emily analyzed the responses, dissecting not only her mural but the emotions that had driven her to create it. She realized she had opened a door that could not be shut. Each comment forced her to confront her vulnerabilities, and in turn, she found strength in them. Determined to nurture her growth, she sought to redefine her approach, an evolution not only in her artistry, but within herself. She began jotting down her thoughts, tracking the personal revelations that emerged as she processed feedback, unveiling layers of herself she never planned to explore. Yet amid this burgeoning confidence was a flicker of fear still lingering. Her mother. Emily knew a conversation awaited them that would challenge her courage further, and so, with an unwavering breath, she prepared to call her mother, ready to share not just her triumph but the deeper truths that lay within. Would this be the moment of acceptance or confrontation? The foundations of their relationship rested on what lay beneath, and Emily could only hold her breath and hope she could finally embrace both art and truth, unabridged. With resolve thickening in her chest, Emily dialed her mother's number, each ring an echo of her uncertainty. She stood firmly at the threshold of vulnerability, the weight of past conversations stifling her breath. Would her mother still see the daughter who sought approval, or the artist who needed to be seen for who she truly was? "Hello?" Her mother's voice, familiar yet distant, sent a fresh wave of nostalgia crashing over Emily. She could almost picture them at the kitchen table, her mother's expressions a mixture of pride and concern. But this time, Emily was no longer that little girl needing validation. Today, she was a woman ready to claim her identity. "Mom, it's Emily." Her words felt laced with a mix of trepidation and hope, carving a space for honesty. "I wanted to tell you about my mural." A brief silence stretched across the line. Emily held her breath, waiting for the sigh or hesitation she dreaded. "Your mural? You mean the one from the showcase?" Her mother's enthusiasm was palpable, a comforting blanket. Yet it also reminded Emily of the shadows lurking in the corners of their conversation. "Yes, it's very personal," she continued, "and it reflects my journey. I included elements of struggle and resilience." The knot in her stomach tightened, the words hanging heavily in the air, vulnerable and raw. "I can't wait to hear more about it." There was a hint of eagerness in her mother's tone that offered a sense of relief, but Emily needed more than casual enthusiasm. She required acknowledgement, connection. "Mom, it's different. It's about everything I've been through, not just the highlights. There's pain in it. I don't know how you'll feel seeing that side of me. Emily, art is all about expressing truth, isn't it? Her mother's reply lacked the immediate reassurance that Emily sought. In that moment, a chasm of insecurity reopened in her mind, a fear of being misunderstood, of not living up to the idealized version her mother may hold of her. The pause stretched again, amplifying the tension. I trust you'll explain it to me. I know it's your voice. It was a softened cadence, but it still failed to diminish the nagging worry that she'd be met with an unsympathetic critique. Still, she pressed forward. I just want you to understand. The mural unearths some painful truths, and I fear you only seeing the hurt, rather than the strength that came from it. Each syllable dripped with authenticity. Every word ignited in her the fire of determination. This moment was not just about sharing her art. It was a cornerstone of her personal growth, risking exposure to truly connect with her mother. Why would I dismiss what shaped you? Her mother's voice was gentle yet resolute. Do you see it that way? As something that diminishes you? Emily swallowed hard, the perspective shift dawning on her. For so long she had been ashamed of her struggles, convinced they clouded her worth. Yet here, at this moment, her mother's acceptance illuminated the transformative nature of vulnerability. Maybe the pain wouldn't overshadow her art. Perhaps it instead tethered her to authenticity. A burgeoning strength surged within her as she envisioned the mural, each stroke representing not flaws, but a testament to her journey. Can I come see it? Her mother asked, the eagerness now a palpable heartbeat. Of course, Emily replied, excitement threading through her initial apprehension. They settled on a time, and as she hung up, Emily felt paradoxically lighter. Sharing her art would also mean sharing her truths, the intricate layers that made her whole. Each revelation about herself countered the haunting judgment she feared. Months of anxiety branched into this one pivotal moment, a juncture of clarity and connection. Yet a new flicker of fear sparked deeper within her. Would witnessing her mural shift the dynamics between them irrevocably? The realization that art could bridge the chasm of understanding prompted an unexpected resolve. Tomorrow would reveal the depths of her mother's acceptance, but in the marrow of uncertainty lingered a tantalizing truth. Transformation awaited on both sides of this encounter, possibly reshaping their relationship in ways neither could yet fathom. And so, as day bled into night, Emily found herself compelled to prepare not just for her mother's visit, but for the unraveling of expectations, a confrontation with her past, and a leap into an uncertain but promising future. Would art unite them, or uncover deeper fractures? The pulse of artistic expression drummed loudly in her ears, signaling the moment was near for the unearthing to begin. The day finally arrived. Emily stood in her small studio, anxiously fidgeting with paintbrushes, preparing for her mother's visit. Her heart raced, fueled by excitement and nervousness. The mural, brightly illuminated by the morning sun, radiated a depth of emotion and complexity that mirrored her personal journey. This was not just a canvas. It was a reflection of everything she had fought to embrace. She wanted it to resonate, to convey her truth. As the clock ticked closer to her mother's arrival, Emily pored over her work, reassessing each detail. Colors blended beautifully, intermingling trauma and triumph in a tapestry of creativity. It struck her that this mural did not merely illustrate her struggles, it celebrated her resilience. The realization brought a warm glow to her heart. This was her narrative, her masterpiece. Knock. The familiar sound echoed into her workspace, sending a ripple of adrenaline through her body. It's time, she whispered to herself, gathering courage and smoothing the edges of uncertainty. She opened the door to find her mother standing there, a mix of apprehension and curiosity painted across her face. Hi, Mom, Emily greeted, inviting her inside. Hi, sweetheart, her mother replied, stepping hesitantly over the threshold. The air crackled with anticipation as they moved toward the mural, its vibrancy casting colors across the room. Wow, her mother said softly, absorbing the sight before her. Emily held her breath, the silence oscillating between tension and potential. As they stood before the mural, Emily felt the weight of her mother's gaze, searching for understanding. "This is incredible," her mother finally breathed, taking a step closer. "It encapsulates so much emotion." "Thank you." Emily's voice wavered slightly, a tidal wave of emotion cresting within her. "But it's a reflection of my struggles too, Mom. I wanted to express everything. My fears, the fight to break free from expectations." Her mother remained quiet, absorbing each word like a sponge. "It's beautifully raw," she said slowly. "I never realized how deeply you felt things." This acknowledgement opened the floodgates for Emily, a chance to finally reveal the depths of her spirit. "I felt so constrained, like I was living a life that didn't truly belong to me. Art was always there, waiting for me to embrace it, but I was too scared." Despite the vulnerable revelation, an odd sense of solace enveloped her. This was an opening, a moment of genuine connection. "I feared you wouldn't understand or accept my dreams," Emily admitted, looking at her mother's reflection in the colors of the mural. "That I would be letting you down by chasing something that seemed unstable." Her mother's eyes widened, a flicker of realization crossing her features. "Emily, I never meant to stifle your creativity or your passions. I was scared too, of the unknown, of watching you struggle." Her voice broke slightly, resonating with vulnerability. "It's been a journey for both of us, hasn't it?" Emily replied, stepping closer, searching her mother's eyes for truth. "I want my dreams to coexist with our relationship. I need you to see me, and I hope you can celebrate this with me." "I do," her mother whispered, tears glistening at the corners of her eyes. "I see you and I'm proud of you. I just want you to be happy." Warmth spread through Emily, dispelling the shadows of fear that had haunted her. This was a moment of mutual acknowledgement and acceptance, a breakthrough. "In that case," Emily said, a playful grin crossing her lips, "how about we explore this art journey together? You can be my first critic and supporter." Her mother laughed softly, relief washing over her. "I'd love to help you. It's time for me to step beyond my own fears too." With that shared commitment, they embraced, each heart swelling with newfound hope and understanding. Emily released all the tension that had knotted her insides for so long, and in return, her mother embraced the warmth of acceptance, the understanding that passion fuels purpose. Days turned into weeks, and as Emily continued working on her art, she found solace, not just in the creation but in the bond that flourished between her and her mother. They explored art classes together, sharing tips and ideas, nurturing each other's creativity. The distance once carved by expectations now faded into a shared journey of discovery and expression. Emily began showcasing her work in local galleries, gaining recognition for her unique style that blended her experiences into poignant narratives. She attended workshops, connected with other artists, and found a community that celebrated individuality. Each piece she produced felt like a step forward, a testament to her evolution. The mural remained a centerpiece in her studio, a constant reminder of her journey, the pivotal moment she had embraced her true self and transformed not just her art, but her relationship with her mother. It was the revolution of her spirit, the flame that ignited her passion for design and reminded her of the tangible power of vulnerability. As Emily stood back to admire her latest piece, she caught a glimpse of her vibrant reflection in the glass, a woman who had conquered her fears, defined her own path, and proven the value of authenticity. The familiar weight of expectations no longer felt suffocating. Instead, it transformed into a supportive embrace, enabling her to soar higher than she ever imagined. And as she prepared for another showcase, she knew, not just in her heart but in her very being, that she had chosen her dreams, had conquered her fears, and had truly found herself. This was not merely the end of a chapter, it was the beginning of an exciting narrative, one of triumph, creativity, and an unwavering faith in herself. Now it's your turn to take that leap. Embrace your journey, uncover your truths, and share your story. So Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.